let's open this slide deck. So as well as the recording, I am happy to share this PDF of the slide deck with you. I'll dive straight in. The topic of today is about telling your business story using Instagram. And if we haven't met before, my name is Luann Wise. I'm based in the Cotswolds, like many of you. I am a marketer, have been for 20 years now. I'm chartered, I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I run my own consultancy business, and I am actually a lead trainer for Facebook, which means I have been through all their Train the Trainer decks, regularly get updates from them. And this slide deck today is directly one of their training decks, but I've added some of my own info and slide shots into there as well, where I thought I needed to just give some more examples. So if you're used to my slide decks, there's still a fair amount of pink in here, but this one will look slightly different because it is one of Facebook's own slide decks. Because of course Facebook owns Instagram, it is part of their family of apps. I've got a fair amount of slides, so I am just going to dive straight in. I know Sam's going to keep an eye on the chat and we'll have time for questions. So we're going to cover on this session three main things really: building your business on Instagram, finding people who care about what you do, because we want people to engage with us on Instagram, to like our pictures, to comment, to send us messages. And really this telling your story is all about showcasing your business's personality. Whether your business is you as an individual or whether it is a service or a product that you offer, I'm sure there is a way that you could use Instagram for your business. You don't have to. I'm not saying that you have to use all of these platforms that you've heard me talking about, but hopefully today when you've watched this session, you might find some reason to add Instagram to your schedule of work. And the question about time I will address as we go through as well. So I'm going to start at the beginning because I think it's good to recap, or many of you may be new to this as a platform as well. The main difference about Instagram compared to some of the other social media platforms is that it is primarily mobile first. So we do most of this on our phones, even though there are some desktop opportunities and some apps that I'll be sharing with you. Most of it is all about our phones. Here we go. So there are different parts to Instagram and it changes often. It's actually had quite a big update recently to add some new features. If you want to stay up to date with all the new features from Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook, on my website you can see a sign up. I do a weekly email newsletter with a roundup of all the changes. But just to talk you through briefly, navigating the Instagram app, yours may look slightly different to this screen. The things along the bottom, the icons have changed recently, but really primarily you have your own profile. That's what we call it on Instagram. And as a business, you should upgrade your profile to a business account. To do that, I'll cover it shortly, you do need to link it to a Facebook page. If you're not using Facebook, don't worry, you could actually just set up a Facebook page and then hide it. But you do need to link the two for the purposes of upgrading your Instagram account to a business account. The only real difference is that then you could run ads on Instagram. I'm not covering ads today, but you could run ads if you have a business account, and that you will get insights on a business account, which I will look at the end. When we talk about Instagram, primarily we talk about the feed or the grid, which is the content that you can see in little squares on there that stays there, that people scroll through when you do updates. There is a big feature on Instagram called stories. When you look at your mobile app, you will see a row of circles along the top of your screen. That is stories. Stories can be images, they can be videos as well. You can have 3 to 60-second videos on either the feed or the stories. The difference with stories, and I will cover this, is that stories disappear after 24 hours. Your feed stays there unless you delete something. Recently, in the last probably 6 weeks, Instagram have added a feature which is very similar to TikTok. If you've got into TikTok over lockdown, I haven't, but it is a feature now where you can have short videos. When they first launched, Instagram Reels were 15 seconds. They've recently updated that to be 30-second short videos. And you will see that along the icons along the bottom of your app. You can watch them or you can create them as well. They're very engaging. It's the latest feature, so Instagram has quite a focus on them. For videos longer than 60 seconds, I think it's up to about 4 hours if you wanted to go that long with a video, you would then go into an area called Instagram TV, which is one of the icons above that grid of images there. But you would see it if you went to upload a video that was longer than 60 seconds, it would take you into Instagram TV, which is just a separate part, but it can still appear on the feed as well. This may sound quite confusing if you're new to Instagram, but I assure you, if you start playing with the app, just keep scrolling through, you'll find all these areas and see how it works. It's a bit of a kind of watch and play platform. Both Facebook and Instagram, partly due to COVID, but partly because we're coming up to a festive period, have quite a focus now on shopping and being able to shop directly from the apps. Slightly dangerous if you like shopping and you're scrolling through and you see things you like. But if you have your own e-commerce website, you certainly should be checking out the features for integrating perhaps your Shopify website, your WooCommerce website. Anything that you're doing in e-commerce can be linked through to Instagram as well, and very effectively too. I'm not going to talk any more about shopping today, but there is a key feature that might be relevant to your business. So that's the areas of the app that you need to look for. What is Instagram all about? Well, it is about bringing people closer to the things they love. This is how Instagram positions themselves. It's an opportunity for you to share your story. And this may sound a bit daunting, and storytelling is a word that probably marketers are talking about a lot right now, but really it just means telling people what you do and what you're up to and going behind the scenes of your business. On Instagram, as you can with the other platforms, you can connect with people who care about what you do. It's quite a community feel on Instagram. People do kind of like to look at what you're up to, your products, your photos behind the scenes, and you can communicate really easily in comments or direct messages on the platform. Some brief stats. Every presentation I think has to include some stats. Again, directly from Instagram, 83% of people are using Instagram to discover new products and services. So if you think that this isn't really a place for business, it absolutely is. And Instagram users are using it to research products or services as well. There is good search on Instagram. It's the magnifying glass icon. Keywords, looking for, topics around Christmas gifts, for example, gifts for her, gifts for him, shoes, Christmas trees, how you're decorating, anything you want to research, you can do on Instagram. And people are using it to decide whether to buy as well. This is because, people buy from people that they know, they like, they trust, they build up familiarity with. And that's why this kind of really visual platform does work for a lot of businesses, particularly small businesses as well. So we're going to use it to find people who care about what you do. And to do that, us as Instagram users on our profile, what we need to do is just share us and share what we do and think about what is it you want people to think or feel when they look at your posts. I would actually say this about any social media platform. When you post on LinkedIn, when you post on Twitter, when you post on Facebook, it's not about you. This is about what you want to tell other people, what you want them to know about you. So you need to think about them and what do they need to do when they see this picture or they see this product or this video demonstration. You are talking to people behind the screen of your mobile. And don't forget that this is all about talking to people. You need to think, as you plan your content, and there's some more ideas in this deck, about the personality of your business and getting that across in what you're doing. Are you very formal? Are you fun? Are you using graphics? It doesn't all have to be photos. You can use any graphical images. Think about how you want to portray your business, and that's how you present yourself online. And this is also why I kind of think you need to spend time on Instagram looking at what other people do, so you can get a feel for the things you like and the things that could work for you versus the things you go, that's too much, that's not really my style, I won't do that. Just use it for inspiration and sharing. Setting up your account, I'll just do this really briefly in case you don't have an account already. It is relatively simple. Download the app on your phone, sign up. As with all social media platforms, spend time on how you set up your account. On Instagram, as I've said, make sure that you switch it to a business account, and you do that by connecting it to Facebook. And make sure that you enter all the information about your business. Don't kind of want to dive straight into posting images. You do need to set it up. You need to give it a name. You need to put a nice icon on there, a short bio description, which is 150 characters on Instagram, a link to your website. Got some more details on this coming up, but just make sure that you just, as you open the app, setting up your profile, don't skip any stages. Make sure that you fill them all in. One comment about Instagram is that you can only put one link in the setup. If I just go back, you can see there jaspersmarket.com. That could be fine if you just have one link that you want to send everyone that looks at your Instagram profile to. But if you have multiple links, or you ever want to send people straight to a specific product or an article on another website, this can be a challenge. And people often just change the link in their bio, which works to a certain extent. But if I found a really old post on your feed and it said link in bio and it didn't match, that would be quite confusing. So I use a free tool, and I recommend this. It's called Linktree, linktr.ee. Set yourself up an account on Linktree, and then you can create your own menu. Mine looks like this, and you just get one link. Mine is Linktree/Luann Wise, that you can then put in the bio of your Instagram profile. And then you can change what goes onto that menu very easily by going to Linktree. You can reorder them as well. I have a whole list of subscribe to my email newsletter and sign up for events, have a look at my resources, go to my YouTube channel, go to my website, go to my blog. It means that I just have to update this menu, and the link itself on my Instagram profile stays the same. And I think that's really useful, and it looks quite neat as well. Some best practices when you're getting started. We call it a handle on Instagram. That's your username. This example here is at Tasty Creamery. My Instagram handle is at Luann Wise. I would try and keep your Instagram handle easy to remember and easy for people to write. It is unique to your account. Do make sure you put either your logo or a clear photo as that profile circle on your account. As I've said, add a bio, which is 150 characters, and a link. I would use Linktree, and make sure you've got contact details on there as well. There are some other buttons you can add in there, link it to your shop, get people to email you or message you. It's entirely up to you, but just make sure it's really clear if someone comes across your profile that they can see from the very top what it is you do and what kind of content you'll be sharing. When you're using Instagram, you can find people, find friends, topics, brands that you like, just simply using the search. click on the magnifying glass that's along the bottom and type in along the top. And then you can find the top suggestions, people, or you can search by hashtags. I'll come on to those in a second. Just follow accounts that you think you'll find interesting, that could inspire you, could be your competitors, could be business and news sources as well. And you can, if you ever find things that you like and want to come back to them later, you can click the little bookmark icon and that will save them for you to come back to. I'm aware there's quite a lot in this slide deck, but hopefully if I kind of go through it, you'll recall some of these afterwards when you look at it, and we'll have more time for Q&A. So you've set up your account. Now you want to get discovered by your community. That is your intention, is for people to find you. And they will find you largely because of the content that you are posting, and when you're including hashtags in it, because that is how people search Instagram. But when they come to your profile, they want to see something that looks professional, that represents that business personality. So when you are thinking about using Instagram, think about how you can be creative. And again, you'll probably pick up ideas just by looking at what other people are doing. But most importantly, and I think this is the word I would use in every presentation and possibly to most Q&A as well, consistency. Be consistent with what you're doing. People get confused if you flit around too many different topics and too many different styles. You do not need to be a professional photographer or a graphic designer to have a consistent look and feel on Instagram. You just need to do a little bit of planning to think about how you want your profile to look. If you like a completely random life, that's fine, be random, but sometimes, and you know, I'm probably a bit more on this side, I like things to be a bit ordered or a bit planned. So here's 3 ideas of accounts that I particularly love. Those that know me, the first one, Martha Brooke London, personalized stationery. The theme of her account is not only to talk about her products, but everything is pink. Whether she's walking around London and sees a pink front door or a pink house, she may take a picture of that. Pink graphics, pink products. She will, you know, there is a very cool theme that's recognizable. If you go to her profile, you can see that it's not a set grid as such as the other 2 I'm going to show you are, but there is a cool theme and it makes it recognizable. If I'm scrolling aimlessly in an evening through my Instagram and I see something, I'm probably going to recognize that as a Martha Brooke London post. The middle one is Dishmatic. It's a cleaning product. You may have one. People don't always recognize the name, but cleaning is hugely popular, particularly on Instagram. There is a huge community of people that love cleaning and talking about cleaning and sharing cleaning tips. I'm involved with this account for Dishmatic. We have quite a structure, as you can see, to our Instagram grid, not only in terms of the colors that we use, but in terms of the fact that we alternate between word graphics and images. And we just decided that this was how we wanted our feed, our grid to look. It's quite planned, but we do have a mixture of images that are sent in by fans of Dishmatic or ones that are taken by photographers as well. It allows us some flexibility, but again, when you look at it visually, it's quite nice and neat. That's something I particularly like on Instagram. Not everyone does, but it's something that appeals to me and my way of ordered thinking, perhaps. Now, some people struggle, particularly small businesses, if they think that they just have one product. What do I post all the time? And I wanted to share with you, Emma, I don't know if you're on the session. If you are, please pop something in the chat and we'll get you to comment. We'll keep an eye out for that. But Emma is based in Stroud. She's a local business lady and has built her entire business on Instagram. She started, I think it's about 2 years ago now, left her full-time job earlier this year, just before March, actually, to set up and do this full-time. She makes these mugs, and they are beautiful mugs. And if you look at her Instagram account, she talks about mugs, she gives them names, she refers to them as if they're her friends. She talks to people who comment about them all the time. And when Emma releases a sale every month, she sells out in minutes, because she constantly just talks about, these are the mugs I'm working on, they're being glazed today, the shop's opening soon, this is what's coming up, oh, I love this colour, or this one didn't quite work. She just story tells what she's doing, and she has over 30,000 followers now and has built them entirely organically. So Emma, if you're there, I'm very proud of what you've done, but I would highly recommend, if you just have one product, don't worry about it, just keep talking about it and build up your fan club in a way that Emma, who is at the silver spot, has done on her Instagram profile. And when I have talked to Emma about this in the past, I think this is what's really key, is that she talks about what she's doing and is entirely authentic. You can't be anyone else. If anyone just watched the celebrities coming out the jungle, they also talked about how you can't pretend to be anyone else. It's too hard work. So just be yourself and absolutely have a personality, either in the style of your graphics or the words that you use with your posts as well. So those were feed or grid example accounts I showed you. I did talk at the beginning about Instagram stories. And the thing about Instagram is that you do need to use both. You do need to use the grid and you do need to use stories. For a couple of reasons. The grid is because it stays there. People can find it at any time and see what you're about. But when you post a story, it goes along the top of the app. So it's a way of kind of getting in front of people often without them having to scroll. So it's great for that reason, but it's also great because Instagram stories are much more real time, in the moment, playful. You know, I could go and do a story now of, you know, this is what I'm doing. It doesn't need to be staged. It doesn't need to be overly produced. People are comfortable with that because it does only stay around for 24 hours. And it's just a nice behind the scenes way of doing things, and perhaps that can also work if your grid is quite structured. I'll share with you Tagomatic. Our grid is very structured in terms of photographic. Our Instagram stories are entirely user generated. And this means that whenever anyone posts a story of them using a Tagomatic and tag in Tagomatic, we share it. So it's entirely people using the product in the stories. Creating Instagram stories is relatively easy. I don't think I've got a how-to in here, but if you were to go to your app, and if you can see this along the top, you would see stories, your own photo first, just click on the plus and it would take you to the next screen to start creating a story. You can either do it live or you can grab something from your photo reel, which would appear down the bottom. And as you're creating your story, you can add stickers to it, you can add filters, you can mention people, you can include hashtags, you can ask questions, all sorts of things. They are all on your image, on your screen down the side. I would suggest that you just experiment and play around. You can write text, all sorts of things, and they're adding new things, particularly stickers to that all the time. You could even create your own branded stickers if you wanted to. But stories, not only are they fun, they are important for business as well. They can be great if you're running sales and promotions. It was very full a couple of weeks ago with Black Friday. People were putting Black Friday stickers on. They were putting countdowns until the Black Friday promotions ended. That can be great for stories, keep reminding people. Great for product launches as well, exclusives to your audience, how-to tutorials, or really just that behind the scenes. I think the top business related account on Instagram is National Geographic. And of course, they have beautiful imagery and photographers around the world with their content. But there's lots of businesses using it. And I really would just encourage you to absorb some time and go and see what you can find. If you're worried about the kind of interaction and doing both, don't, because if you're doing something on your feed, the grid, as soon as you've posted on there, you can send it straight to be a story as well. And I would recommend that you do kind of interact the stories and the posts. If you do a new post, you might want to do a story. If you do a story, you might be saying, oh, there's something new on the grid, go and have a look. They don't have to be completely different things, but you do a post and click the paper aeroplane, and it will open it up into a story. And then you could find a sticker that might say new post or offer or new launch, and tell people about it. So they interact quite nicely as well. The Q&A that came up in the beginning, yes, you can also post these straight to Facebook stories as well if you're using a Facebook page. As you go to post your story, it will say, do you want to add this to Facebook? And you can do that. That works well for stories. I think you will probably find that most people's Facebook stories have come straight from Instagram. I don't see too many people creating purely Facebook stories because Instagram came first. In terms of any cross-posting across platforms, as we can probably see, you know, Facebook is very different in terms of being very visually led, whereas Twitter, LinkedIn are much more text-led first and slightly different. You know, LinkedIn's more formal, Twitter's kind of quick in the moment, Instagram sticks around. You might want to post the same thing, but you will do it slightly differently. So I would always discourage you from trying to automate between the platforms. Particularly as I'll come on to in a minute, on Instagram, you put lots of hashtags. And when I see lots of hashtags on Facebook, it kind of instantly says to me, that's just being cross-posted and it's not even different. It hasn't been written differently for the slightly different way people use Facebook, which is a bit slower, sticks around, can have more text, less Instagram focused in terms of usage. So I would try and not make it so obvious that you're cross-posting. I said that stories do only stick around for 24 hours. That is true, but you can also save them. As you post a story, it will ask you if you want to save it to a highlight. And if you save it to a highlight, it will then be saved into a circle on your profile. These are the highlights that sit at the top of the FSB's Instagram account. And you can name these to be whatever you want them to be. You can create little cover photos for them as well. You could do it by product, you could do it by brand, you could do it by different events. It's entirely up to you. But this is quite nice if you want to, save your stories. But also if anyone is finding your Instagram account for the first time, they can see the stories that you've posted in the past on there. So there is a lot to do, but I'm going to give you some planning tools. The main planning tools are always to think about the questions. Who is this for? What do they need to know? When am I going to share it with them? And how often? So I preempted these as FAQs, so I'm glad that one had come up already. How often? Your big answer is to be consistent. As often as your time and resources allow is usually the best answer I can give you. But if you want a guideline, I would say 3 to 5 times a week on the grid and stories, because we can consider them two separate things. Some people do stories daily. Some people post daily. Some people post more than once a day. It's entirely up to you, but you need to have a plan around it and not be super active for an entire week, every day, all day, and then disappear. You've got to, in business, in networking, any social media, show up consistently so that you're kind of constantly drip feeding with that storytelling to the people that need to know about it. The answers to when to post are going to be in your own data, which I'll show you at the end. Now, managing the platform, the question that came up, so 3 to 5 times a week, you can manage this in different ways. You could batch your time. You could go out and do a day's photography and create hundreds of images. You could batch your time using a graphic design tool such as Canva and create lots of images. You sometimes have to separate out the time for creating content with the time for the actual posting. 2 different mindsets as well, I think. You know, creating and, you know, the actual scheduling is a bit more admin kind of work. How long you spend on this will really depend on if you're seeing returns for your business. And I think that's where you need to be purposeful about using it and measure to know whether it's working for you or not. Instagram, I find, is a little bit harder on that sense because you can't put links in the post as you do on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter to know what the next step is. If you're in e-commerce, it'll be much easier to measure. It could just be about awareness. I think the answer really is how much time can you afford to spend and dedicate to this, and to do it properly. There aren't any hard and set rules, I'm afraid. Try and build it into your processes. I think if you are doing a product launch, allow time for, you know, creating Instagram content. My husband is a photographer. He finishes editing for the day. He uploads images to his Instagram. It's about making it, as with all social media, a habit and part of what you do rather than a big chore that you have to sit and do something. So let's have a look at these posts. Before I do that, sorry, this is the scheduling tool that I use for Instagram. There are many scheduling tools for social media, Hootsuite, Buffer, etc. I particularly for Instagram use something called Planoly. It is free for up to 30 images a month. So if you're posting once a day or less, it's free. And the reason I like it is because I can upload images either from my phone or from my desktop. I can do all of this on a desktop, even though there's a mobile app as well. And I can rearrange to see what the grid is going to look like, and then I can put it on timers. So if you like to batch your time and do a week at a month, one at a time, a month at a time, you could use Planoly to help you upload your graphics, see what they're going to look like, and then do all your work for typing captions and timers in that tool. That's the one I personally like because it's visual, and Instagram is visual, so it helps me literally see what it's going to look like when it goes live. Posts. Hopefully this isn't a dark art Instagram. It's a bit more of a natural platform, I think. When we're looking at it, we see who's posted, we see an image, and we see some text. How much you write is entirely up to you. You may just want to caption your photo, tell people what it is. Some people use this as a bit of a blogging platform and tell a story. You know, this is why I've taken it. This is what I think about it. What do you think? Entirely up to you and how it suits your business. But it is good to include a caption and tell people why you've posted it. And because this slide deck is straight from Instagram, their perfect caption information is about telling that story. So you're telling it visually, but add some words to it so people know why you're sharing it and what it's all about. If you are an emoji user, if that fits your business personality and your style, then do use emojis in your caption. I would say in moderation so that it's still easy to read. Perhaps that's a generational thing. Sometimes I have to think twice what an emoji is rather than it being my natural language. But if it works for you, use them. To get engagement on any social media platform, I think it's not just about telling your story and going, this is what I've done. Ask people a question. Try and get them involved in it. Because when they get tagged or or you're asking questions, when you're trying to involve people in any way, they're inclined to get involved. If they see a question, they kind of start tapping the answer if it's relevant to them. Hashtags are what you need to use on Instagram to get yourself found. That is how people search for content on this platform, to find people to follow and images to like. Now, I will talk about hashtags shortly, but the question that often comes up, should the hashtags go in the caption or separate in the comments? There is lots of research on this, and none of the research I've read is conclusive around one increasing performance or not. And by performance is what you want it to do, but the research shows it doesn't make a huge difference. You could only test this for yourself to see if it does. Personally, I put my hashtags in the caption. I space it down a little bit so they don't get confused with the text that I'm actually using to describe the picture or why I'm sharing it. But I put them in the caption for a couple of reasons. One, because I can schedule it and it goes out all at the same time as my image. The hashtags are in there from the very beginning. And also because it's easier to edit. If I've made a mistake or a spelling mistake, I can edit the caption. A comment, I'd have to delete and start again. And I'd have to remember to go in and do the comment with all the hashtags. So because the research hasn't really shown that there's a huge difference, I go with making my life easier in terms of how I work and my workflow, and I put them in the caption. What hashtags should you use? I see people talking about this again as a dark art. Yes, you could spend hours on this, but I would go with natural instincts around using hashtags, which are simply keywords that are searchable, that relate to the picture. Sometimes you can have a hashtag like hashtag food, which is a very popular word. Lots of people use it. Lots of people could be searching for it. So your image could get lost. So the more detailed you can go in your description, so instead of hashtag shoes, hashtag red shoes, less people may see it, but more relevant people may see it. So I would think about having some hashtags that are quite broad to your product, your service, your industry, the actual image, and then perhaps some smaller ones as well that are more detailed. You can have up to 30 hashtags. There's different levels of advice on this as well. I think it always depends. Trial and error, see what works for you. I think if you are newer to Instagram, go with more, because the more hashtags you have, the more opportunity for people to find you if they're searching, because there's more words for you to appear in the search results. You will find some very large accounts perhaps only use 3 or 4 hashtags. It's part of their style guide. And someone like National Geographic or the New York Times, for example, are going to get found anyway. So they're not as over reliant on hashtags as a small business might be. Where to start? A couple of places. See what your competitors are using and use the same. If it's relevant to your business, don't use them just to distract people, but have a look at what your key competitors are using and go for them. And I use an app for hashtags. I love an app. The app I use, and it is free for 2 or 3 uses a day. Otherwise, I think it's about £3 to remove the ads and the limits. It's hard to see on screen, purposely blurring the words. But if you download this as an app to your phone called Tagomatic, it's available for both iPhones and Android devices. I did check. And what you do is in that search bar at the top, you put in a word, and then it basically brings you up a lot of options similar to that word. So that I could put in Christmas. It will bring up lots of options, and I can literally tick the ones I want to use. I could do 2 or 3 more searches if I wanted to. Christmas, then I could put Cotswolds perhaps, and something else to give me a mix of hashtags. And then literally at the end, I can copy them to a clipboard, go into Instagram and paste them. I tend to do a lot of research up front and have my own lists of hashtags that are relevant to my business, my products or services. But if it was just in the moment, you know, if I went somewhere and saw something, I could use Tagomatic very easily to just find a selection of hashtags to identify and then copy and paste straight into my caption or my comments. Couple more slides, then questions. I've said this in most presentations, your answers are always in your own data. When you have upgraded your Instagram account to a business account, you will get insights. I think it moves around slightly. I'm just going to double check on my phone. You would click your photo, your profile photo in the bottom right hand corner, top right. Sometimes it's 3 dots, sometimes it's the lines, the burger menu. You would click that and then it would literally say insights. You can see it, you can't really see it on here. But what you would then get is being able to look at the content that you shared and how many people viewed it and got involved with it. You can also see details about your audience. I don't know if you can see this, so if it's the right way around, follower breakdown. I would be able to see the locations my followers are from, by city and by country. I can see the age range of my followers and also the split by male and female. And I can see, if you can see this along the bottom, the most active times. I can do that by day of the week as well, and it breaks it down into hour blocks of the day. And basically, I want to be posting when I think my followers are most likely to be online. And what I see quite often when I look at people's insights, it's early evening. People finish work for the day, they sit down, and it's busier towards the end of the day. So I would try and post when people are most likely to be online. And if that is in the evening, that's why a scheduler comes in really useful, because you can put it on timers and just let it happen while you're eating your dinner and watching the telly. So 50 minutes I've done. Instagram, find people who are interested in your business. You can do that. You can do that by appealing to them and sharing content. That is all about your personality. Use photos and videos. Write good captions and include hashtags, and just check your data as to the best things for you to do and what you should do more of, and perhaps what you should stop doing if it just doesn't hit the mark. You're going to have this recording and the slide deck. There's lots in here, but if you do need more help, Instagram's own help section, help.instagram.com, is brilliant. If you've got questions, there's a whole FAQ section on Instagram. This slide deck is part of their online learning content, which is freely available. It's called Blueprint. So you can either go straight to instagram.com for a toolkit of resources, or facebook.com/blueprint, and they have interactive e-learning courses which they're updating all of the time. You can, of course, contact me via my website, luannwise.co.uk, or find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook by searching my name. And with all presentations, I think, even though there's been a lot in today's, especially if you're new to Instagram, the best result from a webinar is if you do something straight away. So hopefully I'm going to motivate you to do that today with a prize. I would love to invite you to post an Instagram story before Friday, this Friday at 5 o'clock. And if you mention myself in there, you will see it when you go to stickers, mention @LuannWise, and also mention FSB_UK so we can see it. I will certainly share any stories that I'm tagged in, as long as they're nice, but I'm sure you would do that anyway. I will make a note of everyone that does this by Friday and then pick out randomly a winner to receive a copy of No Filter, which is a book released in the summer of this year. And it's a brilliant book. It's the inside story of Instagram, and it was also winner of the FT Business Book of the Year award. And then just to get in a plug for one of my other businesses, I do run an e-commerce business, and largely through Facebook and Instagram. So I will stick some bags of coffee in there so that you can have a brew while you're reading the book. we've got about 8 minutes for questions, Sam.
Well, Luann, that was absolutely amazing.